Welcome to the Successful Nurse Coach podcast. On this podcast, Laura
and Shelby, both board-certified nurse coaches, show you how to make as much money as you want in private practice as a nurse coach. Hello and welcome to 2023, everybody. It is Laura and Shelby here on the Successful Nurse Coach podcast today, welcoming you into the new year. And I hope that you had an easy breezy holiday season and that you are settling into just the newness that the new year brings and the excitement that the new year brings. And we wanted to kick off this year with some updates, some insight, sharing openly with what our plans are for 2023, where we see not only our business going, but just like the vision of nurse coaching and all the things. So this is going to be a pretty untethered episode. We have a loose plan, but we want to cover a lot of different topics today. So buckle in, enjoy the ride. Laura, how are you today?
I'm so good. I wanted to apologize to the listeners if my audio is not the best because I am building my dream office and shocker, it's taking longer than we thought.
Yeah.
So I don't have my podcast gear all set up in the way that I had hoped by now. But that new office is going to be beautiful. It's going to be pink. It may have sparkly stuff. It may have fluffy stuff. I don't know how far I'm going to go, but I just want to acknowledge that. So my voice will be back to normal soon as I can move in to the new office.
Yeah. In the meantime, we appreciate you hanging in there. And surprise, surprise, we're not podcast experts still after, gosh, how many episodes is this, Laura? Like 50? Yeah. Crazy. So, oh yeah, I'm so excited for your new office. So it's going to look amazing. And I am looking at my podcast recording closet right now and I'm like, man, there's no room for pink and sparkly stuff in here. It's just like black foam and bookshelves, but it works. It works for now. Okay. Well, where should we start today? So, I feel like as a coaching community, January is like where we get super pumped, right? It feels like a blank slate. It's really exciting. And like I said, we have a lot of things that we want to talk about today, updates to our program, updates to our team, and some shares the behind the scenes stuff.
Yeah. We are super excited. We hired a new strategist. He doesn't even call himself a strategist. I think he's just an entrepreneurial whiz, and he loves to spend time with other entrepreneurs, and people pay him a lot of money to hang out with them and give them advice about their business. And we're just back to feeling like we know nothing, to be feeling like small fish in a big sea. This container is filled with all people making over $1 million. So it's fun. It's fun to be behind the scenes and see, what problems do you have in your business when revenue's at the 7-figure mark and maybe even at the 8-9-figure mark. It's interesting to just get to be a fly on the wall in this new community, and also gives us different perspective on the steps even before it. Shelby and I, we teach the Prosperous Coach method. We teach organic marketing. We do not believe in marketing plans. We do not think that most nurse coaches do well with perseverating over a niche and working 3 hours on a ideal client worksheet when they haven't coached 50 humans. Like, we have a different approach than a lot of business coaches. And I'm digging that seems to kind of carry through up to the 7-figure mark, some aspects of that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, for sure. And even as we kind of immerse ourselves in this new community and this new learning, I'm shocked and also not shocked that it all kind of goes back down to basics in the end, right? So I'm tuning into some of his training right now, and he's just like, without sales, none of these other things, as he's pointing to like a really big puzzle of things in your business. He's like, none of these other things matter if you're not making sales. Like, we have to, this has to be solid first. And I was like, yep, I agreed. So Yes, it is interesting. Business does look insanely different for us here at the Successful Nurse Coaches than it did 12 months ago. And it feels good to invest in support that can support us where we're at, right? We don't really necessarily need help on like how to build a community and how to get in front of your ideal client, because you're all here and we all love you and we have a really great relationship with our community, but just how to be really excellent at what we do so that Laura and I can stay in the fun side of business, what we love to do, which is like the podcast and to coach, and then like systemize and organize all of the other stuff to where our bandwidth doesn't go there as much.
Yeah.
So that's been really exciting. What was also a new experience for us, Laura, is the way that we invested in this coach.
Oh, yeah.
And so Laura and I spend probably most of our business time doing enrollment calls for the preceptorship and the mentorship. That is the way that we were taught. That is all we know, to be honest. And I'll be super transparent. I really thought that selling any other way, especially for coaching specific packages, was icky and like weird. And I didn't feel comfortable letting somebody into any of our containers without one of us having touch base with them first. And then here walks in our new mentor, and we paid him so much money, y'all, without ever speaking to him on the phone or Zoom. He literally sold to Laura via Facebook Messenger. Like several.
It was either the most brilliant sales experience or I was the biggest sucker, but Shelby and I weren't sure which one it was. I mean, for a minute, we're like, well, we either are going to learn from somebody who really understands, I love his language, omnipresence and intimacy, and has such a great product and so many referrals that there's not a question by the time people get to know us, it's not like, I wonder if they can help us, or I wonder if they can help me. So yeah, we're learning so much, and our year 2 peeps, our master mentees, they're going to get a different year than our year 2s got this last year, just because we're changing, what we're learning, what's possible, like what I believe is possible has gotten a lot bigger. We really can create the business that we want. There are no rules.
Yeah.
No rules.
Yeah. And I think that that's just been the really cool part. Like, even if it doesn't work, y'all, that's okay. Like we just get to like be new and learn and have the doors opened for us. And that hasn't been the case in a couple years. So it feels exciting. That's where we are at in our business right now. We're starting that process. We'll be under that umbrella for like a full year. And I'm having a baby soon. So like I'll be dipping out for the first quarter or so of 2023. And we have spent almost the entirety of 2022 preparing for these next few months. So that's crazy. It's crazy that I'm going to have a baby, but I'm like, holy smokes, like building out our team has been, so pivotal in being able to pull all this off.
I know. Yeah. I think, we lucked out. So all of our lead coaches have outperformed Shelby and I. I think that's a new benchmark, Shelby, is like, as long as they've outperformed us, then they get a look for possibly joining our team. But we plan on keeping our team nice and small. And we've had so much great feedback. I just recently polled all of our existing clients, and it was like 5 out of 5s across the board. It was just, 100%. Like our team got 100% on the report card. Like, I just feel so blessed. And I feel really, really good about our clients' coaching experience and different ways that we're able to support them, which we get to support by doing more workshops. We do monthly workshops now instead of quarterly. I just popped into one of our team members' calls last night. They didn't know I was going to be there. Mm-hmm. And I just shocked them and showed up, and I got to coach them, and it was so fun. And they were excited, and I was excited. And I'm just, I'm so happy about our team. I'm just so proud of them.
Yeah. Our team, of coaches is really, really excellent and amazing. And I remember when we brought on our two most recent team members, Amy Frame and Sean Acrino, that I watched, like we record all of our calls. So I got to be like the professor and watch their recordings and give them feedback. And I promised them that I was going to give them like something tangible, right? I wasn't just going to like blow fluff up their skirt and tell them how amazing they were. I was going to like actually give them something to chew on, because I think that's what we want, right? As coaches, we're always wanting someone to like have a clear perspective. And I had a really hard time finding anything. Like genuinely, I was like sitting after watching the recording being like, well, shit, I think that they handled some of these questions better than I would have, honestly, like in a completely different way. Yeah. And that's really actually kind of humbling to admit. But I noticed that because Laura and I have been coaching nurse coaches for so long, we've also been in a teaching role for so long, that I can flip pretty quickly out of active listening and just listening to respond, because I've heard similar resistance and limiting beliefs so many times. And I want to cut to the point and save our clients as much misery as possible, right? And sometimes that can be helpful. And then other times people just need to be freaking heard and listened to. And that's where the magic is. And so I think that having fresher faces and fresher ears in our space really elevates it to the next level. Like it doesn't feel like a lateral move for our business or our team. It feels like an upgrade in every way.
For sure. Yeah, for sure. I mean, I think we had two mentees are going to clear the 100K mark, we think, this year in their first year. That's new. Like that's extraordinary. And we talked about our clients are going to hit 1.2 million. And this is under 100 clients. This isn't like 1,000 clients making $100. This is nurse coaches replacing their income their first year. This is nurse coaches quitting their full-time jobs. This is big deal. And it's like you and I are in the cockpit and we're just driving the plane to entrepreneur land where anything's possible. And it's hard, but we like hard and all, it's been extraordinary. So we're not making a whole lot of changes, team. We are fine tuning for 2023. And we definitely wanted to tell you what those things that have changed are. And right now we have our team of 4 lead coaches. We are probably going to run a total of 12 mentorship groups, 12 groups of 8 in 2023 is our plan. We're not trying to take everyone. We are having people apply. We are only taking people we think it's the right tool. We refer out all the time. And we'll be doing a lot more interacting through Messenger and through email prior to the application call. We're going to do more screening to use our time better and to also get people to the right place faster. Our nurse coach directory is growing. We have, I don't know how many coaches we have in our directory now, but I know they're getting clients, like nurses who aren't even nurse coaches are checking it out. It's a great resource if you are looking for a one-on-one coach and or maybe you're just like in certification. You're like, I just want to see what a professional nurse coach feels like.
Yeah.
Come shop on our website. We have got an array of amazing previous clients on there. But we are raising our prices slightly because we are upping our delivery slightly as well. We have extra client deliverables that are a secret that we won't tell you, that we will deploy as needed when needed for our clients. And we are upgrading our retreats. So the retreats are getting bigger. Our one in February is going to be in the 40s and our one in July is going to be in the 60s. So our retreats are getting larger. They're a bigger production. It's super exciting.
Yeah.
Do you want to talk about our new agreements that we've decided to bring in?
Yeah. So this is probably like our biggest pivot, I think, in the mentorship and just specifically the mentorship. For a long time, used like kind of agreements 101, basic agreements, the agreements all of you know and love that you learned in certification. And while they are all encompassing, they are still pretty vague, and they leave a little bit of room. They
Uh-huh.
and expectation essentially like creeps in. So
Yes.
we wanted to run the risk of being redundant and annoying, but to lay it out like really, really clearly for this is what you are signing up for when you sign up for this space. And it is all in service to our clients to get them to take action faster, because we, now that we have this huge perspective on what makes a successful nurse coach, right? Before, Laura and I are just pulling off of our experience and then pulling from the experience of a smaller group of people. And then after 2022, we just exploded. And now we have so much more data to pull from. And so the agreements are pretty simple, but it's things like that you have to be done with our online training by a certain amount of time. You have to like take your own notes on calls and show up ready to participate with something that you want to be coached on. And like this upping the level of self-ownership is what we formulated these agreements around. And I think the one that still makes me like squirm in my chair a little bit is that we, at the 6-month mark, if you have not hit a benchmark of like 5 proposal calls or what was it, a few paid clients by that point, then we have the right to remove you from that mentorship space. And y'all having 5 proposal calls in 6 months is 100 million % doable. That is not an unmeetable mark,
Right.
in any stretch of the imagination. But again, it's cultivating consistency to show up for the whole year, because it's hard. There's a reason a lot of people don't do it. It's because it's challenging and because it's hard.
Yeah. Yeah. And we tested this out before we made it a law.
Yeah.
before we signed it into the Successful Nurse Coach Constitution, I tested this out with a few of my groups, and I said, "Hey, team, if we were to make an agreement that if you don't have five proposals or a paid client at the 6-month mark, that I have the right to ask you to leave and or to see if there's a different kind of space that would work for you, how would that make you feel? And who's on board with that?" And they all raised their hands, because to them, it's like, it's a higher level of love and appreciation for the vision that they have. It's a higher level of integrity that we're holding inside of that group. It's not to shame anybody or make anybody feel bad. It is to either have you be in a business coaching container for 6 months and take action and then stay, or be in a business container for 6 months, just long enough to see this might not be for you, and or maybe there's a different kind of support that would be better. So we're tightening up the container for it to create more success for each person that's trusted us.
Yeah. Yeah. And to be honest, if you would have told me this last year, I would have thrown a hissy fit over this rule, because, nurse coaching and a lot of the work that we do is meeting people exactly where they're at. And it is so clear in our groups that people are at different places literally all the time in life, in their business. Like, it is, I don't want to say inconsistent, but like predictable that you're going to have highs and lows throughout the year. And I almost like can't believe that we're being so hardcore. But at the same time, like, having group coaching spaces, you have to protect the integrity of the group too.
Yes.
Right? So there's this like really fine balance. And if having a little bit of pressure on you to reach out and do 5 proposals, you do not have to get yeses. You could totally flub and like suck at them. That's not what we're measuring. We are measuring action you have control over. Like that's important. That keeps skin in the game, that keeps going, because the reality of it is, like, the money that you invest in our program, for some people, it's not enough to take action. For some, it is not enough. And it doesn't feel in alignment for us to double our prices to weed people out. But this feels most in alignment to protect the integrity of the space, to elevate the accountability of our group and to be like, hey, you said you wanted this. We have to take like tangible actions to make this happen. It's not just going to happen. And this is how we can do that.
Yeah. It reminds me of, like my daughter and son, they do so well with stricter boundaries. And I think there's some part of us as coaches or as clients, and I know this is for me, that craves that kind of structure and pressure around me because I interpret it as them caring. Because if Shelby and I didn't care, we would just say, yeah, come to the calls or don't come to the calls. It's 25,000. Come to the calls or don't come to the calls. By the way, it's not our price. The guys, it's not our price, but that would be one version of what business coaches do, where you just raise your prices to a point that weeds out people who aren't going to take action, and then you just don't care. And that's not the direction we want it to go. So we're going to try it this year in this way to see what happens, and we'll have data to decide if it was then next January we'll get on here and be like, we're so great, that was a great decision, or this is what we learned.
Yeah. And these are all agreements. If you're a January mentee with us, these things, right? This is not a surprise to you. This is something that we have given you plenty of heads up on, plenty of time to freak out and back out over the past like 30, 45 days. And even thinking of like our first strategist, Laura, that we hired, she really, I think, kind of instilled in us setting dates for tasks, right? So like, I think you and I, whenever we were just like completely bottlenecked and overwhelmed, like a lot of our mentees are bottlenecked and overwhelmed and trying to create the next thing, is setting a date for things to happen, right? Like having this level of accountability between our little team. And it really worked. Like it really worked so well. And like, now we're in a different place. Now we have a different strategist, and now things are different. We have more time. But I remembered we hired our strategist, and then it felt like I was sitting on my hands of like, well, what do we do now? And he goes, whenever the time is right is the perfect time. And I'm like, mother effer, like, what does that even mean? And so there is times for ebbs and flows of all of these things. But in your first year, we are trying to decrease as much as possible all of the resistance that you are going to experience. And this is just a little bit of tough love to do that.
Yeah. I know. I think of it like if we were an airplane, we just got a little more aerodynamic this year. We just made a few design shifts to create a little less resistance in what we know you're going to go through. So as far as our programs go, let me give you a quick rundown here. Is our preceptorship in a nutshell is 2 community calls per week, and we have them on Mondays and Thursdays and Fridays and mix in some other days, but essentially we've tried to start having them in the evenings to accommodate more people. For those of you who do work normal working hours in any time zone, you can make it, and on different days for shift workers that can make it. And that includes our preceptorship course. We register you to all of our monthly workshops, and you have your own Facebook group where you can get support in between calls. And Shelby and I sometimes come in and do special calls for the preceptors. There's lots and lots of support there, and that price is only $6,000 for the year. On our mentorship, Shelby will talk about. Not much has changed there either, except for what we talked about.
Yeah, mentorship is mostly the same. So I hope you guys find comfort. And really the preceptorship is essentially the same as well. We just have added more consistent call times. We heard you loud and clear, team. We heard you loud and clear. So but for the mentorship, we have increased our price to $16,000 for the year-long investment. And I know we're being secretive on like why, but it's because we don't want to spoil it for our peeps that have signed up. And we, still super small group coaching at 8 people in a group. You get to be paired with an amazing lead coach of ours. Like we said, we have Laura and I, and then 4 more lead coaches. And we really want to play this year and have Laura and I like shuffle around between groups every now and again. That's super fun for us. But you get to come to all the workshops, you get to come to the in-person retreat about halfway through the year. And you also get your own private mentorship Facebook group support. And I really do have to say that just like the mentees that we've been attracting lately are so supportive of one another. Like I'm thinking of a couple of my groups in particular. And like, we don't set the expectation. We have our own little private chat too, between each groups. And we don't set the expectation. Like that chat's there. If you need to use it, awesome. People like to verbally process and send voice notes, and there's kind of no rules in that space. But just, I've been so touched and so like, my heart is so warm whenever I see those message threads and it's like, you have 500 unread messages. And I'm like, wow, like this is just such a special little bubble that you get to be a part of and be supported in. And I mean, I don't have to tell anybody listening to this how special nurse coaches are, but it's just really cool to have a front row seat to all of that as well.
Yeah, I mean, community's everything, I think, in your first year in entrepreneurship. And I know for me, I was lonely as a solopreneur. You know, I went out and got my office and I got my little coffee cup and I dressed cute and I went to my cute little office. And then I remember like the third or fourth weekend being like this, but I'm sitting here alone if I'm not with a client, like I'm all by myself. Like, where are my coworkers? Where are some other relationships? So this, I think, in some ways, our community creates your coworkers, it creates your colleagues, it creates your team, so that yes, you are a solopreneur, you are the boss of your own business. If you're not going to create it, it's not going to happen. But oh my gosh, when you win, you tell your team of 8 or your preceptorship group, and everybody gives you a high five. And when you come in low, you want to quit, and you're crying, everybody just rallies around each other. I get teary-eyed on my calls all the time. I do. Preceptorship, mentorship, I get teary-eyed all the time.
Yeah, it's super special. Sweet. It's so sweet. And I think we mentioned this on the podcast before, but like traditional nursing can lean towards cattiness and competition and like just toxic feminine relationships. And that has never been our experience here. And of course, that speaks to the caliber of people who choose to become coaches. But it is so genuine, so genuine in those little bubbles. So yeah, all the real details kind of stay the same for both programs. There's just a little bit of price bump for both. And if you talk to any marketing strategist, the first thing they tell us out of our mouth is, why don't you just charge more? You could charge double or triple what you're charging for your programs now. And we just kind of refuse. It's something that we dig our heels on pretty intensely. For all the reasons we talked about before. And then we have like our secret group that we don't really talk about too often. But we do have a year 2 program. It is invite only. There are certain benchmarks that you have to meet in order to be in that space. And we make you go through a whole application process. It's completely different than the mentorship. We ran our first year 2 group this year, and the ladies in there, like, again, if it was a competition, they won. Like they outperformed. They outperformed us again, which is really fun. And it's an even smaller group. It's a group of 6. That might change by next year, so don't hold me to it. But for now, it's a group of 6, and these are for like, we only invite people in if their vision is something that I can get just as excited about. Like it's really based on where you want to take it and how big you want to go. And it's usually coaches that want a little bit more than, and this is not to shame anybody's vision here, but this is usually for coaches that want a little bit more than a one-on-one practice or just group coaching. They have a bigger plan in mind that is like present, that they're actually taking action on. It's not 5 years from now. It's right now.
It's happening. Yeah.
It's happening. Yeah.
Yeah. Yes. Oh, I get so excited. I want to share like a little personal story. Just sitting on the couch. My husband was sick this week, and sitting on the couch with him, and Yesterday I coached 8.5 hours. I had 8.5 hours of coaching Zooms with application calls and with it, and that's rare. I don't do that a lot, but I can do it.
Yeah.
I can do it. And I showed him, I'm like, oh my gosh. I'm like, I almost got bitchy today because I looked at my calendar. I looked at my phone. I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm coaching 8.5 hours today. And he looks at me and he goes, gosh, how freaking lucky are you?
Mm-hmm.
Like, how lucky are you that you get to go do what you love for 8.5 hours? And how many coaches that we know would kill for that? And you're so lucky. And I really flipped that on my head. And it is. We are so lucky to do this work. For Shelby and I, it's a calling. It's not just about making money, although we love making money and we love helping you make money. But
Mm-hmm.
it's we like the whole enchilada. It's our
Mm-hmm.
soul's purpose. It's our creativity, and it's how many of you can we empower to have the life that we've created? We want your version of this, and we
Right.
want a part in it.
Right. For sure. For sure. Yeah. I remember when we first started coaching nurse coaches, I was telling my mentor at the time, I was like, this is like helping other people make money is more fun to me than making money just as myself. And she goes, yeah, of course. Why do you think so many people coach coaches? Like, of course it's fun. Of course it's the best. And so, yeah, it still sometimes feels a little bit like a fever dream, just with how things have unfolded
Mm-hmm.
and how quickly they have aligned and taken care of themselves and evolved.
Yeah.
And, yes, Laura and I went first, but also it's because everyone else also stood up for their
Yeah.
own vision and started walking, like we're not dragging anybody along here. There's a total surge right behind us of nurse coaches all stepping in and doing really radically healing work. It's amazing.
Yeah. Yeah. I didn't tell you this, Shelby, but Nicole, she's in my gym group. I think she's in my
Shout
gym
out
group. Yep.
Nicole.
Yeah, Nicole just went in, had a meeting with her boss. They did a pilot program in her hospital, and they created a Zen Den, and then she does nurse coaching for staff for 12 hours a week, and then she works one floor shift 12 hours a week, and she has a 24-hour position.
Sweet.
And she went in and told them, I just want to coach full time. And they said yes. So in January, she's a staff nurse coach, 24 hours a week, coaching everybody. And now she's starting to get like referrals from different hospitals within the system. And one of her managers is going through the collective. So they're creating a nurse coaching department in 2023.
That's nuts. That never happened.
I know.
Oh, way to go, Nicole. That's amazing. Yeah. Holy smokes. I think that like it's moments like that I'm like, ooh, no new door in my brain just like kicked open, right? Like those, because we have dozens of the less fortunate stories of that, to where nurse coaches really want to bring nurse coaching to the hospital and they just get like shut down, stupid stuff over and over and over again. And so to see someone like punch through the ceiling, because we just like we need someone to go gather data and bring it back and share it with the community. And man, that is so exciting. That is really, really, really exciting.
We will definitely have her on our podcast. I get to still coach her for another 6 months, so we're going to see how this goes. But I want to definitely bring her on the podcast and see how we can, for those of you that want to do that or do that part. She's still working. She has private clients too, so she gets to do both.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm. And she's really, really excited about it. And she'll probably end up getting to hire people to help her.
Yeah.
Oh,
and then the beauty of technology, people can be anywhere and be on her team, right? Like that's so
they go to the Zen Den, to the Zen Den, plug into their Zoom and get their nurse coaching session and go back out on the floor and kick ass.
Yeah. That sounds legit. Yeah. Well, man, how cool is that? That's so rad. So rad. Oh man. Okay. Well, what else did we want to cover here? That was the bulk of it. So
I think we wanted to touch on why we think what we do works so well compared to other other business coaching frames that are being taught in and around the community, not just in the nurse coach community, but in any other communities. And it is the model of creating marketing plans, or that the most important part about business coaching is to set up your entity and to make sure you have a pretty Facebook banner, and then get your what do you do statement nailed, and go to networking events. And like, it's these very three-dimensional or two-dimensional aspects of business that, yes, they're important and we teach that, and that's great. But like, who do you have to be to actually make money as a coach? And you got to be a lot of things.
Mm-hmm. Man,
right?
That advice just makes me want to bang my head against a wall.
I know.
Like, what's your niche? And again, like, I just feel like there's a step missing that comes before that. And it's not that those things are wrong, because like right now, Laura and I are spending a lot of quality time on who our niche is and how to best qualify people. But we have a very high volume of people interested in our programs. We have a really high volume of people. We've worked with hundreds of nurse coaches. So when your demand outweighs the spots you have available, and that can be in a one-on-one practice, that can be in group coaching, can be work for all these things, then that's kind of like when you get to start answering these questions of like, who is my ideal avatar? What excites me the most? What problems do I really love to solve with people? I can solve a lot of problems with people, but what problems do I really love to solve with people? What am I really good at? And those are like secondary. And I feel like the way that we approach that is like, okay, let's get the beta of your beta on paper. Who do you think you want to work with? Who do you think is exciting? Who were you 3 years ago? And let's just start there. Like go talk to people and coach people and practice and be bad at it and suck at it and grow and evolve and learn that way. Because that is the way that allows you opportunity for income while you learn. Right. Versus like traditional business advice is missing that first messy action step and sells you on this promise that a marketing plan and that having a business profile on LinkedIn and all this stuff is going to just like magically solve everything. And it's not. And it's not. And if it was, y'all, I would be the first.
We would do it.
We would do it. And we would be the first ones to eat crow. And I would say I was so wrong. I would come on here and officially say it. But that's just not the case. It is not it. And I think that, this is going to get a little woo and probably a little spiritual. So just prepare yourselves for that. But I think that with the way business has been going, and our mentors that we've invested in, Laura, have been saying this to us for 5-6 years, just like the paradigm of the coaching and healing world does not play by normal corporate rules. Like it doesn't. And whenever you are looking to transform your life, you are making an emotional decision. You are not making an intellectual decision. Right. And so there's a whole part of the brain that you get to access by being rather than doing, to be an example for people on what that looks like.
Yeah. I mean, right now I'm working on a piece of intellectual property that we're going to use, and I'm listing out the strategy. Like, strategy is the black and white stuff on paper. That's the plan, the marketing plan. And I have the strategy all written out, and it's the part about this that doesn't work. And I had business mentors in the beginning from the Small Business Association, and I had all these different people telling me all these different things, and they're not wrong. It was wrong for where I was at, and it was wrong for the field that we're in. So, the transformation industry has different rules, and we think we know those rules a little bit better than the more general, PhDs in business advice that you're going to get canned. But strategy doesn't work if you don't have the mindset to back it up. If I told you for business strategy, go to the grocery store and talk to 5 people and invite them into a coaching conversation, that's a great strategy. And with the right mindset, you can go create clients at the grocery store by doing that. Yeah. It's totally possible. If I offered someone $1 million to create a client at the grocery store, I bet you they'd find a way to do it.
Yeah, I bet they would.
But more traditional will tell you, well, dress professionally and have business cards and stand out front and wait for someone to ask you if you can help them.
Mm-hmm.
That's not how it works.
Nope.
It's not how it works. Not the first year, and maybe not the second year. And then eventually a little bit of that starts to come into play. But we know nurses.
Yeah.
We know nurses, and we really want to make this first 3 months of entrepreneurship have the most action that it possibly can.
Mm-hmm.
The most action. It's all about action.
Yeah. 100%. 100%. So yes, there is a business basics checklist that exists on our website under our new grad resource that will tell you all of these things, like set up your LLC, get your bank account ready, do all of this stuff. And we should put a caveat on that checklist of like, do all of these things and do not ask Shelby and Laura how to do these things, because you can Google it. You can Google it, team. You can Google it. Google is your resource. If you do not know how to do it, figure it out. And then how to leverage business coaching is to really lead by example, like be in your own work, show up scared, do things scared, and be committed to your own evolution and transformation. And you naturally pull people in whenever you do that. You naturally catch people's attention. You are naturally captivating. And people notice. They notice the difference in you, right? And then they're just like, I don't know what you have going on, but whatever it is, like, what are you doing? Can I explore this with you?
On our call last night, I'm not going to say her name, but she was talking about how she had like a team building thing at work, and like she's been in the mentorship for 3 or 4 months. And she said, like, in the team building thing, she like played different. Like she was the leader and she took charge, and she was like very like just different. And then people responded to her different, and she was almost felt manic. She's like, I don't even know who that was. Like, I don't know. That's never been me. I would always just let somebody else lead and kind of play along, but I jumped in, I took charge, and this is a whole new version of me. And coaches are leaders.
Mm-hmm.
You know, we're going to teach you how to be a leader through messy action, through consistent messy action, and falling in love with the pursuit of all these cool new skills that you get to learn.
Yeah. And for all of our current clients listening right now that are like rolling their eyes, just remember Laura said messy action. That this part is the rainbows and butterflies do come, but the first few months of practice, y'all, it's so uncomfy. It's so messy. We're pulling pretty big skeletons out of the closet so that you can be in alignment to attract the right clients. Yeah. Right. And like, that's not casual work. That's not work that takes 2 weeks of coaching and then you're through it and over it and magically transformed. Right. I had a coaching call earlier today with a client who wants to coach around communication, and they were talking about how, communication in a corporate setting is often reflected about communication or how communication goes in your home. So then that naturally leads me to the question of like, well, how's communication going in your home? And it wasn't going great. And I was like, well, how are you going to be in congruency here if your communication with your partner is off kilter and you're coaching around communication? And they said that they're feeling really disconnected from, they have the how, right? They have the how, they know how to coach around communication and why it's important. But until the work is embodied for yourself, the math won't add up. And so that's the type of work that we do in the mentorship specifically, right? Like we get to get into all these nooks and crannies in your life. And if the system isn't working, we get to figure out why. And it's usually, frankly, pretty gnarly in our inner work that is wanting to come to the surface, and we just call it out. We point a flashlight. We point a flashlight on it. And yeah, I'm just even thinking of like the stages of my own coaching, and like I feel like we've gone through like a really big growth in our identity as coaches, Laura, to where like yesterday I got a message from one of our preceptors, and she's been in the preceptorship for almost a year, and she's done actually really amazing in the preceptorship course. She's showed up. She's committed. She's milking that space for every inch that it's worth.
Yeah.
And she was like, can you put me on the wait list for March mentorship? And I was like, spoiler alert, I already had you on the wait list for March mentorship.
Oh, I know who it is.
Yeah. And I was like, we already have you on our radar, and we can have like more official chats about that in January. But she was like, I just really want to use my intuition to make this choice. And so I asked her, like, well, what do you usually do to like leverage your intuition? How do you feel grounded? You know, what can you do to facilitate that? And she's like, well, I usually get outside and I go for a hike, and I just really tune into my gut. And so then I already know that she's said yes to herself.
Mm-hmm.
She just needs somebody to tell her to say yes to herself. And so I messaged her back and I was like, I hope it's okay that I'm sending you a voice memo. I was like, but you've already made the choice. And if the choice isn't to join us in the mentorship, that's okay. Like, you can, whatever that choice is in your gut right now, you don't need any more information. You don't need any more clarity. You just need to honor what that nudge is. And she was like, thank you so much for that. I already know that I'm a yes to this space. And just thinking of like, man, Shelby 2 years ago would have never had the freaking nerve to like do that ever. So because of the results that we've been able to get with our clients, how our confidence is been reflected in that. And because of the success we've created with other clients, I can now turn to like the next nurse coach that I have a gut feeling about and be like, you have the magic sauce. I've seen this magic sauce play out dozens of times. Like, I know I can speak with confidence and say, like, I know that you have what it takes. And a lot of times that's just really what a successful person needs to hear. I believe in you. You got this. It's going to be messy, but we're here. Let's go.
Yeah. Yeah, totally. Yeah. And it's fun to watch our clients get their own little levels of confidence with their coaching, where it's like, you know, you come in, you don't know who you want to help, and everything makes you sweaty, and it's just, it just feels so uncomfortable. And by the end of the year, you know, when people they're in proposal calls and they're saying, look, I'm a hell yes to you. I want to do this work with you. I can't imagine how much we could accomplish. Like, what needs to happen for this to happen? Like, what needs to happen for you to get this money? You know, like that. And it's not like we're teaching them how to sell or to hard sell. It's just this heartfelt knowing, like, hey, you're at this touch point. You're at this choice point. Jump with us. You know, jump with me. So I think as our confidence rises to Shelby, we're able to access our clients are able to access their own inner confidence faster as well. So that's why I think 2023 is going to be epic. I think we'll hit 2 million in revenue. I think our clients, not us, but our clients are going to hit 2 million in revenue. I know it. It's gonna be so good.
Easy. Yeah. Easy. They cleared 1 million by October this year.
Yeah.
And man, that was so fun watching that number like click up every month and get closer. But yeah, and if all these numbers make you a little sweaty, I want to offer that like money in the bank is a reflection on the powerful service that you're putting out in the world. Right. And man, 1 million is amazing, and we would also prefer that number be 10 million, because that just means that like more people are getting the right support that they need, and nurse coaches are really able to step into the work that they want to do as healers in the world. And so it's all so good.
All right. Well, guys, thank you so much for listening. We are super excited about this year. We've got a lot of really fun things planned that we're not going to share quite yet. And Shelby's going to have a little baby here any moment. If not, maybe today.
Maybe today, maybe tomorrow, maybe in 3 weeks. If you want to see when I have my baby, I plan on posting it in the Successful Nurse Coach group whenever that happens, whenever that event goes live. So if gosh, I think this episode goes out January 2nd. That's my actual due date. So when this goes live, I will for sure have a baby one way or the other. Because my doctor already told me you're not going past your due date. So come check it out. We will see you in the Facebook group, Successful Nurse Coaches. Go check out our website if you need the directory or the new grad resource. All those things are still there for you. And keep us on your radar for 2023. Come check in next year. See what we get to brag about then. Thanks for tuning in,
awesome.
everybody.
Bye.
Bye.